Right now on News on 6, Green Country gets its first taste of winter this season. The snow is disappearing from roads, but the temperature is dropping again, bringing the danger of slick streets. Our Oklahoma weather experts tell us just how cold it will get tonight and how long the freezing temperatures will stick around. And drivers are out and about on the last weekend of holiday shopping. We'll show you some accidents from around the area. Plus, a warning from police as winter gets underway. What you need to know to protect your car from thieves.
On the scene, on the story, News on 6 starts now.
We begin tonight with team coverage of winter weather in Green Country. EMSA says emergency responders were called out to 67 weather-related accidents since last night. We're told 4 people were taken to the hospital for exposure to the cold. And while most of the snow has cleared off the roads, the temperature is dropping, meaning we could see some slick spots on the streets tonight. And meteorologist Mike Grogan is here. And Mike, how quickly will those temperatures drop?
They're fortunately dropping slowly. The problem is we're already below freezing, so we're pretty much already there for some additional problems. Here's where those temperatures kind of round out to be in the metro area. Right now we're 2 degrees below the freezing mark in the downtown area, down to 31 in Broken Arrow, 30 if you're in Catoosa, 32, Jinx, Bixby, Coweta, 30 in Wagner. Now these spots are spots that had the snow, therefore the temperatures have been holding fairly steady today. We ended up with 1 to 2 inch amounts, with the heaviest falling from near Midtown Tulsa up towards Owasso. That is where we had that stripe of nearly 2 inches of snow, some of that being gone at this point. But in any case, we weren't alone. That extended well to the northeast, where we had 3 to 4 inch amounts from Veneta to Miami and Grove. And we're not done with the snow quite yet. We have another round possibly coming in later tonight. Very light snow showers from mainly Tulsa northeast, but also some additional freezing fog as our night goes along. That might be an issue as early as 9 p.m. for the Tulsa area. And that means an additional glaze of ice on those elevated surfaces is possible. Coming up, I'll break down who has the biggest risk of seeing the fog and also who might see the snowflakes before Christmas and who might even have an additional accumulation. The cold pattern will carry on. I'll let you know how long we might see that in your forecast, possibly into the new year.
All right. Thank you so much, Mike. And right now, ODOT says all highways are clear, but that wasn't the case earlier today. Wrecks piled up along I-44 due to icy roads. News on 6's Joseph Holloway is on the scene with a look at some of those accidents.
OHP says that they saw several wrecks happening right here along I-44, specifically between 161st East Avenue and 193rd East Avenue.
The quickest thing to freeze is the bridges and overpasses.
We saw a lot of drivers who learned that the hard way this morning. At one point, we watched as troopers worked 5 accidents at one time, all on this stretch of I-44.
A lot of traffic. Didn't realize the bridges were slick and solid ice, and the crashes started piling up and occurring.
Perhaps the biggest traffic nightmare right here along I-44 eastbound at the 161st East Avenue exit. Troopers say a semi jackknifed, closing lanes for about 2 hours. Traffic was backed up to the 44-244 split, but troopers say it forced people to stop speeding in the snow and ice.
Slowing the people down to a minimum has really helped the collisions. Not only has it helped that, it's also given the opportunity for the Department of Transportation to get the highways treated.
In another accident, OHP says a car slid into a man who was changing a tire near the 193rd East exit. They say that he's expected to be okay. But troopers say they just want drivers to take it slow next time the weather gets icy.
Most people are always in a hurry to get somewhere. If you're involved in a collision, you're not going to get there as quick.
On the scene, on the story along I-44, Joseph Holloway, News on 6.
One driver is lucky to be alive after an accident this morning. Tulsa fire officials say a 19-year-old girl was driving when her car slid off the Highway 169 near 91st Street and collided with a tree. Firefighters worked for 40 minutes to get her out of the car, and they had to use a fire truck to pull the car away from a tree.
Slammed up against a tree and caved in the driver's door pretty severe, and because it was sitting up against that tree, we had a real hard time getting access to it. So her feet were pinned down in the brake pedal.
The driver has injuries to her feet and legs, but is expected to be okay. That was just one of many accidents along Highway 169 this morning. The bridge over I-44 was icy and several trucks slid off the highway and down an embankment. The driver of a Mustang slid off but didn't hit anything and managed to keep going. Several other drivers, though, hit the median wall and had substantial damage to their vehicles. And Tulsa police are warning drivers not to leave their running cars unattended during these cold winter months. News on 6's Tristan Land is live on the story to explain how you could be committing a crime without even realizing it.
Amy, in the cold weather, sometimes people like to leave their cars running while they're inside of their home getting ready. But turns out that's illegal here in Tulsa. Tulsa police tell us thieves steal about 2,800 cars in Tulsa every year, and that's a big percentage of that comes from puffing. Puffing is when you leave your car running unattended, and police warn that thieves are taking advantage of people who do this. Detectives say it's most likely to happen in your driveway or in a convenience store parking lot. And not only do police warn about this crime in the winter months, but also in the summer when drivers are trying to keep their cars cool. And so be sure to keep a lookout on your vehicle. Live on the scene on the story in Tulsa, Tristan Land, News on 6.
All right, thank you so much, Tristan. And a man is now behind bars following a shooting late last night. Tulsa police say officers were called to East 29th Street just before midnight. When they arrived, they say they found a man in his car who had been shot 3 times. The victim told police David, also known as Ernesto Archuleta, shot him following an argument. Archuleta was arrested for shooting with the intent to kill. And police arrested a man connected to Wagner's second homicide of the year. Tonight, the family of the victim is still in mourning after police say he was killed during an argument with a friend. News on 6's Tristan Land talked to the victim's brother, and she filed this report earlier today.
He was a beautiful man, beautiful soul. He served our country.
The tears were flowing.
He watched over me and took care of me and protected me.
Flowing for Dante Mendoza's older brother, 22-year-old J. Cruz Mendoza, who died after a fight with an old friend.
When this happened, it just tore me apart because I couldn't believe the incident. And I still can't believe it.
Police say last Monday night, Cody Sherman accused Mendoza of stealing 2 marijuana grinders and a wireless Bluetooth speaker. Officers say a fight then broke out between the two. Police say Sherman punched Jay Cruz and he never recovered.
The person that did it texted me out of nowhere and he just said, don't hate me. And I didn't know what that meant.
After Wagner police issued a warrant for Sherman's arrest, he turned himself in Friday night. Dante says it's not just justice he wants for his family.
We all want justice, but I really want my mom to feel at peace because seeing her hurt the way she is hurts me.
On the scene on the story in Wagner, Tristan Land, News on 6.
Now, Cody Sherman is out of jail tonight on a $50,000 bond. An Oklahoma school district is at the center of a federal lawsuit tonight. Families are claiming Perry School District leaders failed to report child sex abuse by a teacher's aide. Arnold Cohen is awaiting trial after he pleaded not guilty to child pornography and lewd acts with a child. New information in the lawsuit alleges the superintendent texted at least one school board member about Cohen molesting students.
Perry wants to hold itself out as the Perry wrestling tradition. And what they've done by hiding a predator is they'll always be known as the Perry sex abuse scandal.
Now, the principal at the school and a teacher are facing criminal charges as well after refuting the girls' claims. Cohen's criminal trial is set to begin in March. And the author of a bill to reform DUI punishment isn't giving up after the state Supreme Court struck down the proposal last week. The law would have prevented court hearings if a person's license is taken away. State Senator Kim David spoke to the Journal Record and says the law was intended to reduce resources spent on one-time offenders and divert the money to those arrested multiple times. The Tulsa Police Department is spreading a little holiday cheer today. This morning, officers delivered Christmas gifts to Tyree Session and his family. Tyree was thrown from an SUV back in October during a police chase. Police say Alexa Torres was driving a stolen car that hit the SUV Tyree was in along North Harvard Avenue. Torres is now behind bars at a correctional center in Oklahoma City. Our Oklahoma weather experts are continuing to track falling temperatures across our Osage Casino Skycam network. Mike tells us what we can expect for holiday travel this weekend and what Christmas will look like around Green Country. And after the break, a special gift for some young kids spending Christmas in a Tulsa hospital. Temperatures are continuing to drop across Green Country tonight. Our Oklahoma weather experts are tracking the possibility for more winter weather in the forecast. Mike will have an update on what we can expect for tonight in a couple minutes. But Oklahoma isn't the only place dealing with winter weather this weekend. A storm stretching from Texas to the northeast is creating a nightmare for travelers. Slick road conditions caused a semi to jackknife in Missouri overnight. In Nashville, wind, not snow, was the problem. A gust knocked down a large Christmas tree there. And AAA expects a record 107 million Americans to travel this holiday season. And more than 97 million of that number will be on the roads. Christmas came early tonight for some Green Country kids having to spend the holiday in the hospital. Every child who is recovering in the Children's Hospital at St. Francis received a free pair of shoes and a meal from Chick-fil-A. This was one Tulsa child's wish through Microsoft Wish Machine, and those who made it possible say they were happy to help it come to life.
It's what Christmas is about, and so about taking a little bit of time and effort and doing something for others.
Now, Microsoft provided 115 pairs of name brand shoes for children undergoing treatment at the hospital. And Chick-fil-A gave out over 500 meals to kids and their families. An Oklahoma veteran and his family receive a Christmas miracle just in the nick of time. The veteran, his wife, and 2 daughters were struggling to get by, let alone buy Christmas presents. Jessica Smith with the Red Cross found out and called a friend at First United Mortgage Group, which saves up money for people in need. A few days later, the Yukon family was surprised with their rent paid and food.
We were all crying together, and they said they would have been out on the streets, hungry, homeless, and without food had it not been for this miracle.
The family was also surprised with Christmas presents.
Well, not only is it looking like Christmas, it's feeling like it with the cold air. We might get a reinforcement of a little more of that white snowflake action to our north heading down our way. This is a broad area of snow, a weak upper level system, but it is going to glide just past our area, and therefore we still have a limited risk. Some of the snow that you see up here crossing Kansas into far northeastern Oklahoma by early tomorrow morning. For now, though, the initial concern will be the visibilities. For the most part, we're okay right now. Visibilities are just about 5 miles in all locations. That is good, but that could be changing in a hurry later tonight. Widespread fog is possible as we go towards the midnight hour. Winds will be light. Our temperatures are already near the dew point, and with those snow areas on the ground, once again, we have a lot of moisture emanating from that, and that could create those visibilities dimming down to beneath half a mile. And on top of that, the moisture out there could cause an additional glaze on elevated surfaces, so a couple issues to come with freezing fog tonight. Fortunately, by morning, the winds will increase, and that will kind of scour out that issue as we move into the morning hours tomorrow. So as we look outside, once again, it is about the busiest travel day of the holiday season. The temperatures below freezing, but fortunately, we've not been greatly impacted at the airport for the rest of our day, as we are now once again seeing quiet weather. Temperatures at or below freezing for a lot of areas, though. Veneta, you're down to 26 degrees. Bartlesville at the freezing mark. Tahlequah 30, 33. Eufaula down towards McAllister as well. Moving into the overnight hours, an increase in clouds is expected through 9 p.m. and 11. We're just talking about some additional fog concerns, but high to mid-level clouds rolling in by morning. You see this area of snow. It's primarily to the north and east. This particular model, I showed one earlier, it brought the snow all the way down to Tulsa. So it may end up being confined to the areas just northeast of us, but there's still a risk some of those snowflakes could make it into northeastern Oklahoma. Additional clouds through the morning, but we do clear out by afternoon, but only ending up at that high in the mid to upper 30s. So a cold Christmas Eve expected in the day ahead. Speaking of which, as we look at that snowfall forecast, there is the chance of flurries in the white. That does include Tulsa, but if we're looking for any additional accumulation with it, that would be really confined to southeastern Kansas and maybe the far northeastern corner of Oklahoma into northwestern Arkansas. That is where we could see maybe a brief dusting tomorrow morning, and then on into tomorrow evening, it is quiet. So that is good news if you're heading off to see family, or maybe you're to a church service by this point. The main thing is you'll want to be bundled up. With temperatures falling below freezing between 5 and 8 p.m., the wind chill will also be a factor tomorrow. We'll see gusts up to 30 miles per hour during the day tomorrow, and that will bring that wind chill into the low 20s and upper teens later tomorrow evening. Santa will be glad he has his full suit on coming through Oklahoma by Christmas Day. Well, we have temperatures that will also be fairly cold, but also looking dry, so no travel concerns. We'll see temperatures rising into the low 40s by afternoon, so any remaining snowfall is disappearing, but at least we got to see a little snowfall right here on the heels of Christmas. The cold weather is going to stick around, though, as we look at the forecast all the way through this week. All the colder colors here indicating that cold weather, and rotation points of energy. That's in the yellow, and we're going to see a bit of an active pattern developing later in the week. So matching with some colder air, we could end up with a little more wintry weather and more cold air waiting in the wings as we head towards New Year's weekend. So therefore, we're just not losing this pattern. That polar vortex you hear about, that is that low pressure you see in the jet stream up to the north, and that will continue to slide in more shots of colder air, and that likely continues into the first week of January in 2018. To our west is where we'll be warmer than normal, but it does not look like we shake the winter cold anytime soon. So tonight, a little foggy, some slick spots out there, so be careful. By morning, 26. Aside from a few flurries, it's pretty quiet tomorrow by midday. Climbing above freezing. The wind chill, though, in the 20s. Have the heavy coat on hand for the foreseeable future. We'll see temperatures hanging in the cold range all the way through midweek with a lot of clouds in our sky. So not a lot of sunshine for this final week of the year. We do bring back the slight chance of wintry mix by Thursday morning, and we'll see kind of that chance lingering into the weekend. Now on to sports with Harold Kuntz.
This is News on 6 Sports with Harold Kuntz.
Don't want to leave a whole lot of time for the Hawks to score this bucket.
And here we go. Westbrook scoring up at the three-point line. He scores!
Russell Westbrook won that game last night against Atlanta with a 3-ball. Carmelo Anthony, he helped win the game by accepting a change. Head coach Billy Donovan doesn't want him to be a mid-range man, more a catch-and-shoot guy from the perimeter. It led to 24 points last night as Melo is learning to accept this new role.
For me, it's just a matter of accepting that role, you know, realizing this is what it's going to be. These are the type of shots I'm going to get. This is the type of offense we're going to be running, and accepting that and working on that role.
And the Thunder back in action tonight in Salt Lake City against the Jazz. Tip-off 7 o'clock. Big 12 play starts next Friday on the hardwood, and the unquestioned best player in the conference, at least so far, the Sooners' Trae Young. He leads the nation in points and assists after another double-double in the win against Northwestern. The Sooners are 10-1 and sky high with confidence.
When you're winning, that's the main thing. This is fun. The crowd, I mean, is continuing to grow. They played a huge role tonight. I mean, where we jumped out right out the gates. I mean, you can just tell this. I mean, this is the best time to be a Sooner.
Coming up, a local NFL player is giving back to his community with bike donations. Who and why? After the break. Recruiting never stops. Big shout out to Broken Arrow linebacker Derek Shaw, who's committed to North Texas via Twitter. OSU Cowboys have settled into Orlando as they continue preparations for the Camping World Bowl Thursday. Mike Gundy and crew getting set to face Virginia Tech. The Hokies arriving in Orlando today. The Cowboys arrived yesterday and had another practice session early afternoon today. Head coach Mike Gundy wants his team to have fun, but be safe.
We bring them down here to have a good time. A bowl game is a reward for them for a year's hard work. We want them to enjoy Orlando. They need to be safe. We had them in a meeting with the police and people that are familiar with the area, and we coach them up a little bit, but essentially they know right from wrong.
Sooner fans can watch some of the future today. Waco Midway's Tanner Mordecai, an OU recruit, plays quarterback, and he's in the 6A2 state championship game down there in Jerry's World. Check out some bowl action, Texas Tech versus South Florida. This is Big 12 versus American. Check out the Red Raiders' Nick Shimonek, all-time in the world, to TJ Vasher, 25-yard touchdown, 34-31 Tech, 2:55 to play. Back come the Bulls, though. Lots of time for Quentin Flowers to operate. Finds Tyree McCants for the touchdown, takes the lead with 16 seconds left. American over Big 12 here. Bulls win 38-34. San Diego State Army in the Military Bowl. Rashad Penny is a really good running back for the San Diego State Aztecs. Gives the Aztecs the lead here with a touchdown, 14 carries, 221 yards, 4 scores. But Army never quits. Darnell Woolfolk, touchdown, West Point down 1 with 18 seconds left. They go for 2. Kel Walker on the sweep, conversion good. Army wins 42-35. And a local NFL player in the holiday spirit of giving things away here. This is Tulsa native Dom Alexander, currently on injured reserve with the Cleveland Browns. He donated 120 bikes to elementary students at Walt Whitman and Gilcrease elementary schools. Those schools, his parents attended.
I just wanted to be able to put a smile on someone else's face. You know, God has blessed me to be very fortunate and to be able to live out my dreams. And for me, I just want to see other people happy as well. I'm always going to give back. And, like, I just really love to see the smiles on the kids' faces and, you know, just the parents.
All right, as you were saying, Amy.
It's always great to see stories like that.
There you go.
Especially very close to the holiday season.
Agreed.
You know.
Okay. Weather now.
Sorry to take the words out of your mouth,
It's
Earl.
all right.
Let's talk about weather.
Yeah, it's going to be cold by tomorrow morning, maybe a few additional flurries. Watch out for some of that freezing fog tonight. May make travel a little bit difficult, but the week ahead also looks cold. Maybe some wintry weather returning by Thursday.
All right, thanks, Mike, and thanks for joining us. We'll be back here at 10.